Rightio, I think we're live. Have a little bit of a tweak around with the camera. So here we are. I didn't time that too badly, did I, really? Turn this brightness down a little bit. That should do it. Ta-da! We are live. So, for those of you who didn't know, I'm actually going live this week. Nice little surprise for us all. So, I was intending to do another video, but unfortunately my equipment is a little bit ski-whiff at the moment, so I'm having to rely on doing lives for the next couple of weeks until I get some new equipment so I can do my videos again. So I thought, rather than just have a complete blackout where I'm not here, I thought I would continue my video. But it's going to be in the whole glorious of being live. So if you are here for the live, thank you so much for being here. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the gadgets and gizmos to do all the fancy stuff. So, watch what I've done. You ready? bear with. So what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to Frankie's Aquatics right here on the live platform. That is YouTube. For that, you wouldn't know the difference, would you? First of all, how is everybody doing? How has your week been? Hopefully you've had a good one. So this week we're going to talk about axolotl hides. I think I have briefly touched upon this in another video in regards to decorations, but we're going to talk about it in a little bit more depth because a lot of people message me and ask me, can I use this for a hide? Can I use that for a hide? I know you use glass jars for a hide. Are they okay to use? So today I'm going to try and simplify things and talk about the do's and the don'ts of axolotl decoration. Now this has been the normal point where I walk off and we took some nice footage of axolotls, but unfortunately we are live, so I don't have that feature. However, I'm going to jump straight into the juice today. So before I go any further, I hope you are all doing well. How have you been? I do notice that many of you are commenting it below. I'm going to actually get to the comments at the end of the video, and I've talked about what I want to talk about, and then I'm going to answer your questions and speak and say hello to you all. So some of you may know I do have, I've got my little cards ready here. I do now have a podcast. I feel like I'm on prison duty when you get your mugshot taken, but I do have a podcast. Now, before we go any further, I need to point out that little bit. It is aimed at a more mature audience, but there is a podcast out. There is a podcast. I have got one, and it's doing really well. And a lot of you guys do seem to enjoy it. It's me outside of this axolotl bubble. So hopefully, if you haven't done so already, go and check us out. It's the Out of Water podcast by myself, Frankie O'Reilly. So if you punch in Frankie O'Reilly Out of Water on any podcast player, you should find it just fine. But again, I must have to stress, it's not for little ears. I've got a vulgar mouth on the offside YouTube, so just bear in mind, please don't go there if you've got little ears. Just make sure that you obviously are ready to hear me speak some colourful language. So, axolotl hides. It wasn't so long ago that I kind of put out there on Instagram, I think, and I basically said, try a glass jar for a hide. And everyone was like, a glass jar? Are you sure? And I was like, just try it, because axolotls love them. And lo and behold, axolotls do love them. They take to them really well. They also give it the sense of security in regards to being in a hide, although we can still see them. And obviously they don't block out the visual effect of us being able to check on our axolotl. Because there's no worse if you've got an axolotl or any kind of aquatic creature for that matter that just spends its days hiding, because we can never see the little guy. But if you put a glass jar in there, the axolotl still feels safe inside of the glass jar, but you're also going to still get the visibility to be able to check in on your axolotl. So what glass jars do I use? I basically just use empty coffee jars. This is one, obviously I haven't used this one yet. I've purposely left this a bit dirty to kind of talk you through how to kind of prepare them. But yeah, glass jars. This is basically an old coffee jar. Nice and clean. I have washed it. I have purposely left the glue on though, because some people overlook that part. So when you get your jar empty, make sure you obviously give it a good clean down. And around the rim here, most jars will have like a glue sealant. Now that has to come off. But if you don't, it will basically come off in your water, and it will cause all sorts of mischief. The best way to get this off is not stand here on a live YouTube video picking it off. The best way to tackle it is to soak it in some hot water, and eventually it will lift off. It comes off really easy. And then once you've got it all clean, and there's obviously no kind of soap or dishwater on there, they work as brilliant for hides. And you can hear the sea. It's amazing. But they're really good. They're really handy. And Axolotls do love them. For those of you that have tried the glass jar trick, do let me know if you've had success with it. Everybody I've recommended it to have all come back saying, I didn't think it would work, Frankie, but it actually did. Now, obviously, glass jars come in all different shapes and sizes. That's one that's kind of been used, as you can probably tell. But yeah, they're really handy. And you can see that's got a little bit of dirt on it. Now, you will find these do collect algae, or algae as some people call it, very, very easily. But the thing is with that, for one, they're relatively easy to clean if they do get really dirty. But for two, it's no harm to your axolotl, and it does look quite authentic when it has got a bit of algae on it. So I don't go overly bad about cleaning these, to be perfectly honest. Once they're in the tank and they've kind of established themselves within that aquarium, I don't really tend to intervene with it. But the good thing about these jars is, if you do, obviously during water change a day, these can double up from a hide to something you can pour your water back into. So if you've got substrate or any kind of decoration for that matter, or your axolotl still in the tank and you have that, you can obviously pour your water into that and it's not going to cause too much destruction within the aquarium itself. Yeah, clever, isn't it? Pretty clever. So basically, you're going to cause a lot less movement within the aquarium. The axolotl is going to be a lot more happy and a lot more healthier, and it's not going to be freaking out every time you do a water change. And they just double up to be quite a handy little thing. Now, when your axolotl's small, you might think twice about popping a jock-off jar like that inside your aquarium. And rightfully so, because let's be honest, your axolotl is going to look quite minute compared to this big jar. So what other things can you use? I use these. Now, these are really handy. I use these with hatchlings in particular, because they're only small. But I use a candle burner. Is that what they're called? You put your little waxy in there, you pop your little candle in there. Obviously not in the aquarium, that would be disastrous. And then that way you can give a nice little hideout for your axolotl without it costing the earth. I think I paid something like 50p for this. I bought a big load of them off eBay. And they work really good because they've got a little platform there they can sit on in the water. And they've also got a little hidey hole in there. Really handy. Now the good thing with these are that they're relatively inexpensive and they are really, really good inside of water. Just bear in mind, when you do get these, make sure they've got the nice shiny varnished finish. You don't want anything that's porous like this, because over time that will absorb water. Take it from experience from me. I have used things like this before, where they've been more porous, a bit like SpongeBob, and they've basically absorbed the water, and over time they've kind of cracked. They're no harm to your axolotl, but they just don't last 5 minutes. So make sure you get something that's kind of varnished and gives that nice shiny effect. You can see the little circle light in there. Look, that's pretty snazzy. And they will work absolutely fine. Really good, really cheap, really inexpensive. Now, outside of hides, what else can you use? It's funny you should ask that, Frankie. You can also use these lovely things. They're not a face mask, but they would make a pretty good face mask. You can also use hammocks, or a hat, depending on how you look at it. So these are just your standard Reptile Komodo branded hammocks. Now these are great. The thing you might notice with these is they've got no suction cups on them, because realistically they're not designed to sit within water. So unfortunately the suction cups that this company in particular provide don't last too long in water. You'll notice that they'll keep coming off from the wall of the glass. Glass of the wall of the glass, same thing. Tomato. They're really good, and axolotls will either really love these and take to them really well when they sit in the corner of their aquarium, or they just won't bother with them. It's a bit of a love-hate relationship with these. Some axolotls absolutely love them, whereas others don't. And as you can see, these are out because I have to put new suction cups on them. You can actually buy aquarium style or aquarium safe suction cups off eBay. I think you can get a pack of like 25 for about £3.50. Tree finish! So they're relatively inexpensive as well. And then basically what you do, you pop them through the hole and then just get some fishing line and use that as like a cotton and kind of sew the hole up around it. And that's the little trick I've been doing for the best part of 3 years, and it works an absolute treat. So yes, don't overlook the hammock. The hammocks are very good and they are very handy. And again, really inexpensive as well. I think these cost something like £4 a pop. But again, unfortunately, the suction cups they come with don't seem to last. But they are definitely worth having. I am noticing the comments, by the way. I'm not ignoring you. I will going to get back to everybody, or I'm going to have a quick look through the comments at the end of the video. Next thing. Tank decoration. A lot of people like to use live plants. Now, from experience, I don't use live plants, and that is because my axolotls are absolutely destructive, and they crush them and destroy plants so quick, and I can never keep up with them. So what I use in place is this. This is artificial plants. Again, originally designed for reptile use, so they're reptile safe. But I do find, again, after experience and many years of doing so, as long as they're not too harsh and they're not too absorbent, they will work great within water as well. Relatively cheap once again, really straightforward and simple to clean, and they do hold up really well in water. Now, if you're doing what I'm doing, I'm a breeder, these do work good for leaving somewhere for the axolotl to actually lay their eggs. The female will often take to these and lay eggs all the way over them, which is great for when you just need to take them out and separate the eggs away from the parents. And the only thing you've got to watch about these, which I've noticed just recently, is obviously the backbone of these. Most of these fake plants come with like a spine that you can bend, which is obviously designed to sit in your vivarium if you're using them for reptiles, which are great, really good. But the thing is, I noticed is sometimes, try and show you where's the camera, which side? The side. They do split look, and that, you see that? Not going to focus, is it? Going to get a focus? But you can basically make out that's a rusty piece of metal in there. Now, that's no good for any kind of aquatic creature. So what I would suggest doing there is, when I put these in, I don't put them in with these on. What I do is I bend them in like this, like so. And then I either use aquarium safe silicone and silicone it shut like that, so there's no possible way that's going to leak out. Or better still, I kind of just chop it off. But just be aware that these, the spine of the false plant will have these in, because obviously originally they're not actually designed for aquarium use, although they are safe, minus that little piece of metal. Now, are there any other kind of hides that you can use? You might notice in the back here, these are your typical aquarium safe hides. I've got a goldfish in that one, a blackmore to be precise. But if you notice there, that's a glass jar. Over here, that's an aquarium hide. Just here, that big thing sticking up there, that's actually a shrimp hide. It's a huge shrimp hide. They're a little bit expensive, to be perfectly honest, but they do stand the test of time. They weigh an absolute ton. They don't move when you put them in place. Your axolotls will love them. That's almost like a tunnel within a tunnel, that one is. That's Marcel and Lolly, and that one, my two golden albino. And they are great. I've got one in there, and I've got one in Pixel, which is here, which again is great. They absolutely love them. They do take to them, and they get quite, not territorial, but they get used to kind of using them as a little bit of a chill out. So most axolotls do like these big shrimp hides. As you can see, I don't know if I can show you. In here, that's a smaller glass jar in there. Again, fake plants there, which again are originally designed for reptile use. And then here, I used to have, just before I got this, I used to have one of these. I've come so prepared on my print-offs today, haven't I? I used to have these. Now again, we're going back to the reptile use. So these are Exoterra hides. I've used all of these in here, hence why I've had them all pictured, and I think they're absolutely amazing. The only thing you've got to watch out for with these is there's two different designs. I'll try and hold it here while I try and talk you through it. So these ones are the ones I normally use. These are classed as the Exoterra medium hides. They're absolutely fantastic. But there's two different designs for all of them. There's one of them that's nice and shiny and almost like glossy to the touch, which are great because they clean really easy. Any kind of algae or dirt build up, they just wipe clean straight away. And there's another material, which I think are the newer designing ones, where they're a bit more porous. Now, I have tested them. They are perfectly safe to use. The only thing you'll find is, unfortunately, that nice brown colouring or sand colour will eventually lift when it's in water. But again, from experience, it's not harmful to any kind of living creature within your aquarium. However, it does flake off and it does become a bit of a nuisance. And usually what I tend to do at that point is I usually replace. I pull them out, I give them a bit of a scrub down. If they look a little bit messy, I kind of get rid of them and replace them. Otherwise, they're perfectly fine. But if you have got a shiny one, like my head, they're great and they will last you for years. They're really good. And obviously the only thing that's going to happen is your axolotl will probably outgrow the medium one. And that's when you'll have to go for any of these two here, which are the larger ones of the set. I do unfortunately find that the largest one, which I believe is that one, I believe it's the Exoterra, it might be classed as the XL, the biggest one they currently do, I believe. It doesn't stand too well with water. It'll either float, which is a bleeming nightmare, or it will flake really quick. So just bear in mind, they're perfectly safe, but just remember there's 2 types of material. Any questions that you have, do feel free to ask. But I just thought I'd print that off just to show you as well. And then I think that's about everything. I think that's about everything I want to talk about. So just a real quick re-glimpse of what I've just talked about. If you have got an aquarium safe hide or decoration, just be sure there's no sharp edges on it. That's something I notice, especially with pets at home stuff. They have really sharp corners and really sharp underneath, which they look great, they're lovely, and they're perfectly safe to use, but unfortunately your axolotl's probably going to cut himself on them. Now, how do you challenge that? You can either gently sand it down with a very fine sandpaper, which is what I do even with axolotl safe hides. I always give them a once over with some sandpaper. Or you can use axolotl, well, aquarium safe silicone as well. So let's just say, for example, where did I put that jar? Obviously, I'm not speaking about a jar, but let's just pretend this is a hide I've just bought and it's got a bit of a jagged edge there. I'll basically pop some silicone over and I'll smooth it over, make it nice and safe, so it's going to be safe to the touch. And if it's safe on your finger, in theory, it'll be safe for your axolotl as well. Just make sure you use an aquarium safe silicone and make sure you're not going to hurt yourself on it. But apart from that, that's pretty much everything. So I'm going to jump into your comments and see what everybody's chatting about, and hopefully answer some questions and say hello to a few people. Right. I'm going to scroll right the way to the top. Nicole is in. How you doing? Raw Hype is in. How you doing? Ella, that's my daughter who's currently upstairs hiding. How you doing? Let's have a little look. It's 9 a.m. over here. Hello everyone. Can't hear because I'm walking my dog, but had to pop by. Kind of funny watching with no sound, trying to imagine what you're saying. I could be saying all sorts of things. I really could. But thank you for jumping in. I ate my axolotls alive. Okay, I no words for that. I don't know what to say. I think we've got a sausage troll there. I pour the water through a hammock. I pour the water through a hammock warmer. I'm confused. So the comments are a little bit slow, hence the kind of pauses that I'm doing here. How can I make my axolotl tank be cooler? You can either buy an aquarium chiller, you can use cold frozen ice packs, or you can do water changes. I've done a video on it actually. Go to my channel and search how to keep my axolotl's aquarium cold, and there's quite an in-depth video on it. Right, let's have a little look. Hey Frankie, do you reckon I can use big leaves for a hammock? Of course, out of fabric. There's no reason why you can't. No, give it a shot. The only thing I should probably reiterate and mention that whatever you are using in regards to these, make sure there's no loose leaves. Loose leaves. Make sure nothing comes off it. Give it a good shake, give it a bit of a pull. Keep it clean. And make sure nothing's going to fall off of it. Because basically, axolotls will probably come over and have a little bit of a nip at this to work out what it is. And as soon as they realise it's not worth eating, they should leave it alone. But just make sure that obviously anything like, so for example, anything like that, look, that's a prime example. Make sure that's attached nicely and that's not going to come off easy. Like I said, 9 times out of 10, my favourite words in the world, they will come along, have a little bit of a nip and realise that's not food, I'm not going to waste my time. But you've got to remember, these are axolotls we're talking about, little Pac-Man of the tank. So they will try. Just make sure it's safe, that's what I'm saying. I tend to use big leaves anyway. I mean, this doesn't exactly look huge, but these leaves are quite considerably big. And as you can see, I've taken it out for now, because I rotate quite a lot. I'm always tinkering. With my tanks. I can't help myself. My axolotl cannot go down. Do you mean your axolotl is floating? Maybe so. Just remember, axolotls do like to float, as long as they're not floating on the side or any other kind of odd behaviour. They do like to float. Oh, Linda's in. Lyndon is in. Hey, Frankie. I forgot to say hello earlier. Just been watching. Laugh out loud. Hello. How you doing? Right. I have one in my tank. They love it very much. Very much a... can fit 2 axolotls inside perfectly. I'll make sure to sandpaper because before placing them in the tanks. Are you on about the Exoterra hides or are you on about the glass jars? Glass jars are fantastic though. I really do like glass jars. For the reasons I said, you can obviously still see your axolotl, and they cost you next to no. I mean, you've probably got loads of jars in your cupboard anyway. Oh, Aquarium Adventures is in. How are you doing? I've been meaning to message you about working on a collaboration if you're interested, my friend. Just lurking while pretending to work. I know that behaviour all too well. Hey there, Frankie. What's the best advice you've ever heard yourself? Now, are we talking axolotl advice, or we're going to get really technical here? Are we going to talk about life? Are we going to talk about... You let me know and I'll answer that question. I use terracotta pots. Very good idea. With the bottoms open. This way they can hide in it if they want to and get through it. Very good idea. A lot of people ask if axolotls get stuck in jars, because if you think about it, there is just kind of one way in and one way out. So you think, oh no, what happens if they get stuck? But I don't know. I've used these for a very long time, not this particular jar, but jars in general. I've had no issues like that. I've even noticed some people that tag me in posts on Instagram, which I love you doing, by the way. I've noticed that they put leaves in them and stuff like that, just for a little bit of almost like a bed for them, and they do actually take to it. Now, I've never tried that technique myself, but people have, and it has actually worked from what I've seen. But a glass jar is just really inexpensive, really robust. It's going to last you for years if you look after it. And like I said, it doubles up as somewhere to pour your water into as well. Really is a winner chicken dinner. And if you can hear snoring in the background, that's my dog to you. Megan's added, regarding anything axolotls in general. The biggest piece of advice I've ever heard is never stop learning. And I can't stress that enough. I have always said to the people closest to me, the moment I feel I know it all in regards to this hobby is the moment I'll step away. It's the moment I'll stop uploading videos. It's the moment I'll gently tilt my hat and leave. Because I think if you're so naive and so, I want to use the term arrogant, but if you're a closed book, how are you meant to add new chapters, really? We're all still learning. That's when people come to me with ideas. I'm like, ooh, I'll give that a shot. I like the idea of that. And if it's something good, I'll give feedback on it and stuff like that. Funnily enough, I reached out to Paul Cafaro. Is that the chap's name? Young lad from America, who recently bought another axolotl after his first one passed away from it being overheated, I believe. I might be wrong. But a lot of people started reaching out to me saying, please help, this Paul don't know what he's doing. And I was like, listen, I'll reach out and I'll try my best to help him. And you know what? He was a really nice lad. I spoke to him through Instagram, and he listened. He thanked me. He said, thank you so much for reaching out. I appreciate it. He asked me loads of questions. He's definitely listening to learn. So they're the sort of people that I like, because I'm one of them myself. I'm not a professional. I know a lot of stuff, but I'm not a professional. And we're all still learning. So the moment I feel I know it all will be the moment I leave. And I think that's probably something we should all carry through. Always remember to learn. Never feel like we know it all, because we really don't. The hobby is continuously changing. And I think you'd be very naive and quite arrogant to think otherwise. Aquarium analytic. You can even house 2 in one of those. I've missed a part of the conversation here, haven't I? My apologies. Are live plants okay with axolotls? Very good question. They actually are. The only thing you'll find, unfortunately, is axolotls like to sit on everything, including your hand when you're siphoning water out. They just like to perk on everything. They just find a little spot and they just sit there. And they weigh quite a bit as well. And what tends to happen is the more delicate, dainty kind of live plants within your aquarium will get squashed. The few people that have reached out and said, I've had success by trying this, again, we're all learning, are people that said they put loads of plants in. So let's say they're going to put a couple of Java fern in. They don't just buy 2 or 3, they buy 6 or 7, and they put loads in and they spare it out across the tank. And then basically you're giving some of it a chance, while others might get squashed and squished by your axolotl's fat booty. Some of it will hopefully survive. So there is that technique you can try as well. I've had people reach out saying, well, I've used live plants from the get-go. And I'm thinking, that's great. It does work. But from experience, for me, I have tried it numerous times over the years. And unfortunately, I just find that my axolotls are very destructive. They're almost like messy teenagers. You give them a nice, beautiful room and they trash it. And they poo in the corner as well. The person with the floating axolotl might be constipated. Very true. Can it come down to the bottom of the tank? Good question. That was from, I'm terrible with my eyes. Give me a second. Corinne Skipper. Yes, that's a very good point. They do float when they need to poop. Do let me know about that, and do feel free to reach out as well if you have any questions on like social media and stuff like that. Nicole says granddaughter is due to be born soon, and they are 7 hours away. So nice. We are hoping to stay a few days. Hoping my tank will finish cycling, so I don't have to leave them tub while we leave. Oh, bless you. Do let me know how you get on with that. Raw Hype says, Frankie, do you do merch for children like 3 years and up? I'd love to get my daughter a nice axolotl dress or top. I'm going to do it now. You've just planted the seed in my head. I'm going to do it. And at the moment, I use Teespring, which is great. And a lot of people don't even know I do merchandise. But this T-shirt that I'm wearing here, which is my logo, sorry about the noise out there, and then obviously on the back, you can actually get this on Teespring. I think it goes down to small child. I don't think it goes much smaller than that. But I am going to do it. Bear with me. I'm going to do it. I've got 3 designs that I'm ready to launch. I've just got so much going on at the moment with the whole lockdown and all that jam. But I will get onto it. Bear with me. I will definitely do it and I'll let you know. Thanks, Frankie. We'll go on things like Anubias and Java Fern. Yes, absolutely. Java Fern's great because it's really hardy as well. How many axolotls do you own that you personally keep as your own forever? Let me do a rough guesstimation. There must be around 15 to 20. I've got a terrible habit. It's a lovely habit, but it's a habit nevertheless of when I get a rescue. Because you can imagine when you get a rescue coming, they're not always coming in really bad states, but when they do, and they come to you and you know full well this little guy's got a backstory, and you're looking at the little guy and he's looking up at you all withered, and you kind of bring him back round and bring him back to good health, I get quite attached and end up keeping them. One thing I need to stress as well, because someone, I don't know who it was, but someone basically called me out on, I think it was Instagram a couple of weeks ago, and said, you shouldn't breed and you shouldn't rescue. You can't cross paths. And I was like, I don't cross paths. They're both very, very separate, very separate. I never breed any rescue. Even if a rescue comes in a fine bill of health, I would never, ever breed that particular rescue. For one, I don't know the backstory of that particular axolotl. And for two, I don't think it's very fair to kind of put an axolotl through something like breeding when they've had a bit of a rough time of life anyway. So my 2 things, Frankie's Aquatics is what I do here. And obviously the breeding side of it. And then Frankie's Axolotl Sanctuary or Axolotl, it was called Rescue. I think we renamed it to Sanctuary. That is very, very separate to what I do. It's not one big road. It's 2 very separate things. Hence why I've not really talked about my rescues very much. But I am starting to do so. So please don't think I kind of take people's axolotls and breed them and make loads of money. I make very little money on what I do. And they are very, very separate. I need to make that very clear. I meant to bring that up last week, actually, and I completely forgot. Ella is giving me some love. That is my daughter. How you doing? I've seen a lot of costumes on Axolotl Obsession on Facebook. I actually seen one brilliant one. One of my followers over on Instagram, she dressed up as an axolotl for Halloween, and it was amazing. It was so cool. If you happen to be here, do let me know. It was fantastic. She basically had like a woolly hat with the axolotl kind of gills. Oh, it was amazing. It was so good. And then she had like a pink, like all-in-one suit, like a lycra suit. It was so crazy. It was magical. I saw, it was brilliant. I must have looked at it for about 10 minutes. Just like, wow, that's brilliant. That is so cool. Let's have a little look. I do apologise if I'm missing your comments, by the way. For some reason, the comments are not coming through as they should. It always seems to be the case when I do lives. So if I do miss your comments, I do apologise. But do leave it as a comment on the video, and I will get back to every comment. How's about that? Can't be any fairer than that, can I? So if I don't get around to you commenting this, comment it on this video afterward, and I promise you I'll answer you back. Corinne said, I appreciate you for answering the questions and always helping. Thank you so much, and God bless you too. Stay safe while we're going through all this crazy stuff that we're all going through. Flowers Reptile says, hi, just tuning in with my Axolotl Henry. Good morning, 8 a.m. here. Wow, whereabouts are you? And good morning to you. Someone else, I can't read your name, my eyes are so dreadful, and the colours are so bright. Someone said, I break up terracotta pots, shape them with sandpaper and silicone them onto pieces of fake grass. That sounds fantastic. You can be really creative, you really can. I mean, my tanks are fairly straightforward and simple. I don't really jazz them up too much, really. I mean, that one's so basic, so's that one, really. I think my most probably adventurous is the boys down here, but even then it's really basic in comparison to some. I just keep things nice and simple because, as you know, if you own an axolotl, they are dirty buggers. They are mucky buggers, and you're always in there with your turkey baster or your siphon doing something or another. So I tend to keep things as simple as I can to help my life a little bit, because I'm obviously doing this on a very, very big scale. Let's have a little look. Do you have a fork-gilled axolotl? If you don't, do you want one? I actually do. I have several. Lolly is actually a fork-gilled axolotl. She's got a double branch going off there. I've got one upstairs called Bindi. You might have seen her in another video. She's absolutely stunning. Very, very pretty girl. She's got a fork-gill as well. But yeah, I will happily have another one though. I'm a crazy axolotl kid, mate. Here it is 9 PM. I am in HK. What's HK? I'm so silly with things like that. Eastern Canada over here. Hi from the Philippines. Wow. Just got mine 2 weeks now, and your videos are a huge help. Thank you very much. That is from William Jefferson Kadang, I believe the last name is. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for supporting. Hi, I'm a huge fan. Could you say hi, Oliver? Yes, I absolutely can. Hello, Oliver. How you doing? Thank you for supporting. Megan says, learning never gets any less exciting for me. I'm the same. I'm the same. I always like to hear of others' experiences and research as well. I agree, Frankie. Thank you for answering my question with such a great answer. Yeah, I'm like that. I get really obsessed. My missus says I go through phases. Oh, you're going through another phase. I'm like, no, it's not a phase. When something really catches my attention, it becomes my drive. I'm like, right, boom, it's just that, it's just that, it's just that, it's just that. And I become obsessed with it. I study it. For example, if I bring something up, let's just say I go, do you know what? I'm going to have a snakehead. I'm going to have a snakehead fish in my tank. I've already gave it months, if not years of thought. It's not. I'm not one of these people that just go out on a whim and do something. I've already gave it so much thought already, and I've always been that way. I become obsessed, and I love learning. I love learning. People still tell me things that I didn't even know about. So I was like, there's a guy, I need to actually get back to him, lovely bloke, he watches my videos, and he told me something really specific about the lakes in where Mexico's originate from. And I was like, wow, I'd never have known that. He's a local. I would never have known that. And I'd be very naive to think I did know it all. I think we all would. I think we all need to take a bit of humble pie every now and again. I own Amber Aquatics in Australia. Love Frankie's videos. Fantastic. Do you follow me on Instagram? Do most of you follow me on Instagram? I assume you do. But the name Amber Aquatics really does ring a bell. So I think I might have even spoke to you before. Hey Frankie, love your vids. Mate, I just asked a question. Me and my family are thinking of getting an axolotl and giving it a fantastic life. We have done loads of research. You may ask me anything you like. White cotton-like substance on my axolotl's gills, causing them to fall off. Struggling to keep my nitrates down. Thinking this is the cause. It could be an uncycled aquarium, but it could also be a temperature problem as well. A temperature will play a huge part in fungal growth. That's what it will be. The cotton-like substance that you're experiencing is probably going to be a fungus. Usually starts on the gills. If left untreated, it will spread down, or sometimes it might even start mid-body and kind of work its way up like a fluffy kind of appearance. But usually it is the gills. That's the hot spot for fungus to grow. Usually, again, it's down to bad water quality. I was right. Why did I second guess myself there? Or it is down to bad temperature. So make sure your cycle is A-OK and make sure your temperatures are good as well. And obviously you can treat it as well. You can treat it with other things as well. So do reach out if you need a little bit more further advice. Tracy said, hi Frankie, I'm watching at 8:30 from South Florida. Can we swap? Come on, can we swap please? I bought 3. Oh, why is it gone? It was just there. But I believe that your comment's gone. I do apologise. It's kind of not loaded on my screen. Can you guys see the comments as well? Oh, Gemma O'Reilly's in. I wonder who that could be. Who could that be? Could that be the wife? Hello, dear. How you doing? Is Amphibi Gold a good food for your axolotl? It is. It is by far, in my opinion, one of, if not the best, premium axolotl feeding pellets currently available. I've test drived the majority of the pellets that are out there. There's 2 that I really do recommend. Amphibi Gold, which if I'm honest, is the number 1 I always recommend to people. It's by a company called Arcadia. Really good brand. It really withstands the test of time in water if they go uneaten, so you can easily siphon out any uneaten kind of pellet. And all of them, I've not had an axolotl yet that hasn't liked Amphibi Gold. So yes, they are brilliant. And the second pellet that I recommend, I believe you can now get them in America, but they are just slowly rolling out over there, are from a company called NT Labs. I believe they're a UK-based company, and they do axolotl sinking pellets. They're really good as well. So they're the 2 that I usually recommend to people. Sorry, switch to black worms. When can I switch to pellets? Awesome. I wouldn't switch from worms to pellets. I kind of use pellets very, very infrequently, because for one, they tend to sour the water pretty quickly, and for 2, they're just not as good as live food. You can't beat live food, to be perfectly honest. If you are feeding, is blackworm similar to bloodworm? I think it is, isn't it? 'Cause I've got no experience with blackworm, which is probably a little bit odd of me. But if it's like a bloodworm, then I would switch to, so basically, let's say blackworms are very similar to bloodworms and they're just not filling them up enough. You can switch over onto earthworms and to feeding pellets. I do follow you on Instagram. Fantastic. Right, a couple more questions and then I'm going to get off. Do axolotls have to have live food? Because I have a thing about live food making me feel a bit cruel and sick. You're not the only one. You'd be surprised how many people tell me this. Can it be fed with pellets and frozen bloodworms and frozen shrimp? You can. It's not, for me personally, I wouldn't recommend it, because live food does so much for your axolotl. They're a really good staple part of his diet. He will do great on it if he has any kind of issues, any bumps or grazes. Live food will help him patch up quicker. It's just so much more beneficial. It's a bit like as humans. Could we live on McDonald's cheeseburgers? Yeah, we could. We shouldn't, but we could. It's a bit like that with those sorts of foods. Now, what you'll find with bloodworms are great, but as they get older, they will not be part of a sufficient diet for your axolotl. They'll just constantly need feeding because they won't be able to settle that hunger within them. And that's why you normally switch over onto earthworms and to feeding pellets. If you want any kind of compensation or any kind of reassurance in regards to worms, I do hear that worms don't feel pain. They don't have the nerve receptors. I'm not telling you completely wrongly, don't quote me on this, but they don't have the same nerve receptors as other insects, so they don't feel pain apparently. Do feel free to Google that and let me know, but that's what I've heard. Let's have a little look. Awesome. I need to try sinking pellets. My axolotl only eats live feeders. Earthworms and dubia roaches are his favourite. Fantastic. Right, I'm going to get going now, I think, 'cause we've been chatting for 38 minutes. Can you believe that? So just before I go, thank you all for jumping on the live. I'm probably going to do a live again next week. And then the week after, I should be back up to my usual uploads. I have tried to keep this as informative and as entertaining as possible while talking directly to you guys, which has actually been fantastic. Just a quick few things. I want to say a huge thank you to my patrons, my Frankie Lottles. If you are here today watching, thank you all so much for your support. If you want to be part of that, we basically have our own Discord chat, and there's a few other things that are going on behind the scenes as well. All the information will be below when I finally put it all in there. It'll all be below, so check out my Patreon. Also, merchandise is also available too. You'll find all that information below as well. Do follow me over on Instagram at Frankie's Aquatics if you haven't done so already. And If you haven't done so already, be sure to like the video, also hit the subscribe button, and also ding that notification bell. And until next time, ta-ta for now. Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining.